Hey, it's Erin here. Let's set up my 2023 reading journal, but before we do that, I thought it could be fun to flip through what I ended up doing for my 2022 reading journal, which I only started pretty recently. This is the star.grid journal from String and Space that I'm using for my reading journal, and I did only start keeping a reading journal not too long ago. It was sort of late September, early October that I set all of this up, so anything that's filled out for the months before that I have done kind of after the fact. I loved this 50 books goal tracker page, so that's something I definitely want to bring with me into the new setup, which will also be in this journal. But the maybe next page on the other side, which is actually my TBR, I just don't like that name because it feels like a lot of pressure. You can see it's really full, so I need more space. I did really like having everything divided into categories though, so I'm going to keep that concept and just expand it over a few more pages. I had told myself I was only going to do these full spreads for books that I really loved, and I think I was just really excited about the journal because I ended up doing it for, like, for instance, this book I really did not love at all, but I had the right washi tape for it, so I kind of wanted to do it anyway. But I saw on Instagram, apparently I didn't save the post and I'm really mad at myself for that, but someone was doing this 4 books to a spread setup, and I thought that's great, take the pressure off, make it easier, still kind of cute but minimalist. So when I've read 4 books I just print out the covers. I'm going to do that really quickly. At the moment I'm using my HP Sprocket to do that just because it's really convenient, but I might maybe switch to my big home printer and do more than 4 at a time. I'm not too sure, we'll have to wait and see. But for now I'm just going to finish up this spread so you can get the full effect. It's been working really well for me, and I will still do those big kind of collagey pages for the books that I really, really love, that I want to live in for a little bit longer. But besides that, these little 4 at a time kind of situations seem to be working really well for me. Now on to the new pages. I knew I wanted to try and keep something of the color scheme from the beginning because I'm using the same book until I run out of pages for my reading journal. I won't be switching to a new one mid-year like I do with my actual bullet journal. So I started with this scrapbooking paper. It's the Ink Drops paper set from Stationery Pal. Of course, as always, there are links to everything I'm using in the description down below in case you want to get your hands on anything, and some of them are affiliate links, so I might make a little bit of money. I'm rounding off the corners with this little corner punch. It's fine, it's kind of difficult to use, but it does the job. I'm using an A5 notebook for my reading journal, and the paper isn't quite tall enough to fill up the whole page, so I'm just adding some more at the top to make sure that it reaches all the way. And I'm going to use these stamps. They're from Notebook Therapy. They are the Vintage Rose set, the new version. And you know I love to use paint pens with my stamps, so I'm using a black brush tip paint marker from ARTISTRO for all of my stamping, except for when I use the purple one a little bit later on. I don't think I said what I'm doing. This is going to just be a cover spread, in case you were wondering. The book stack sticker, which is so beautiful, which is the centerpiece of this left page, is from the Quirky Cup Collective, and the black washi tape with the stars on is from the Washi Tape Shop from their Starry Sky set. I love setting up cover pages. I just enjoy the process and I like the kind of mental preparation that it gives you, but it's absolutely not necessary. I just wanted it to delineate where 2023 started in the journal versus 2022, just so that that was clear in my mind. But you don't have to do a cover spread. It's not a requirement. I used a fancy little corner punch to do a fancy design on the corners of another piece of that beautiful ink drop paper, and I've had these frame stamps for literally forever, like several years. I'm pretty sure I got them at Lincraft here in Australia, but I didn't want the detail of the frame to get lost in the background, so I'm sticking it down to some white paper so that it will pop off the background of that beautiful purple. And remember these stickers, the number stickers that I used in my 2023 overall bullet journal setup? Here's a link in the corner in case you haven't watched that one yet. It's also in the description down below. I printed these with my PHOMEMO thermal printer and used them as a stencil to just trace around for my other journal, but for this one I was planning to just peel off the back and stick them down, but I could not get the backing off for the life of me. I tried for so long. I've edited that out because it's not exactly riveting viewing, but I tried to use some of the washi tape to peel them up off the backing, and then I thought, oh, that actually looks really nice if the number was made out of the washi tape, so I decided to then undergo this slightly arduous process of covering the sticker with the washi tape, trimming around it, and then sticking that with some glue with the backing and everything into the journal, but it looks great, so I say it was worth it. And it's a pretty neat hack to get shapes out of your washi tape if they're a darker color, because you can kind of just draw on the page, cover it with some washi tape, and then trace over it with a craft knife if it's a light color, but if it's dark and you can't see through the washi tape, then it's a little bit more tricky. I'm trying to get more into using stamps, so I thought I'd use the stamps to make kind of a springing out from behind the piece of paper I'm going to stick down effect, if that makes sense. But I didn't position them quite right. I think because I was sitting back quite far from my journal so that my head doesn't stick into the frame. And so some of them look pretty messy and overlap each other, but you can't tell once the paper is down, so it's fine. Just sticking down this frame, which is where the words reading journal are going to sit, because I have to tell you what it is, otherwise what am I even doing? And I'm using my very favorite fine liner. This is a Sakura Pigma Micron in the 05. I don't discriminate as far as the pen line weights so much, they're just great, the Pigma Microns all around. Moving on to the next spread. This one is literally just going to be a list of all of the books that I read in the year in chronological order that I read them. I've noticed lots of people doing these not solid lines on Instagram lately in their bullet journals, where you kind of, as you draw the line, you just pick up the pen and put it down in a kind of a random fashion. And it's a little bit trickier than it looks, but it gives a really nice soft overall effect, so I had a good time trying it out. This marble paper and the black and starry washi tape are going to be really the stars of this layout. I really like the way those two pair together with the shininess of the gold and also the softness and the kind of flowiness of this paper. They make for a really nice contrast on the page, both in terms of the coloured paper being a little bit lighter, the washi tape being quite dark and visually heavy, and also because the starry shapes are quite sharp and the movement of the ink on the paper is really soft, and I like how they look next to each other, especially with torn edges. It's a little bit witchy. And that wasn't what I set out to do, but I'm also not mad at it. I really like how it's looking. I guess it's kind of a play on a dark academia vibe, which is what I had originally thought I'd do in a reading journal. And then, as I mentioned in my previous reading journal video, I read mostly romantic fiction and dark academia vibes, although I do read some fantasy and I do really enjoy it. It's not my main genre, it's not where I'm going to spend most of my year, so this kind of has walked the line really well of my dreams for my journal and also being appropriate to the kind of stuff I actually read. I'm introducing a new paper here. This one has kind of a damask pattern on it. It's from another Stationery Pal paper set, this one. And I'm using it as a heading backing piece, along with, again, my black paint marker and some stamps with letters on. I have a lowercase, an uppercase, and a number stamp set that all sort of match, but if you didn't have all of them, you could absolutely stamp them all in lowercase and it would look just fine. I just like my headings to have capitalization, what can I say? And there's something about the introduction of this lavender damask kind of stamping, I don't know, the way it all comes together, it just kind of reminds me of the Mean Girls burn book or something from Clueless. It's got that really 90s, 2000s scrapbooky kind of vibe, and now I'm like, oh, this is great. I love it so much. I've got heaps of space in these 4 columns because I have no idea how many books I'm going to read in 2023. And I'm very sorry for this quick jump forward in time. I did not realize my camera wasn't recording when I set up the decoration at the bottom of this one, but it's most of the same stuff. It's just more washi tape, more of that marble kind of paper. And I got these poem kind of line stickers recently from AliExpress, and a lot of them are nonsensical, so I'm kind of using them like fridge magnets and breaking them up into smaller parts and making my own poetry, like those fridge magnet poetry sets, you know, you get the idea. The page I'm working on now is my reading goal page with the bookshelf, just like I did in the previous version of this setup for 2022. I really enjoyed it, and so I'm doing the same thing. Last time it was for 50 books, which turned out to be pretty much exactly how many books I read for the year. And I'm gonna try and push myself a little bit this time. I've set it up to 60 books instead. So the way I'm doing this is I've drawn out some shelves and I'm just drawing rectangles on the shelves, which are also rectangles, just to represent a book for each one. So there'll be 60 books on the shelves. And when I'm happy with how many are on a shelf, I write the number, like the cumulative total, I guess, at the end of the shelf in a very tiny little fine liner so that I can keep track quickly. I did this in watercolor last time, mostly just to test out how this book held up to watercolors because it has really thick pages, but it was way too much effort, so I ended up switching to markers for like just the bottom shelf. This time, I actually thought it would be really cute if I colored in each spine in the main color that the book design is actually in. I read all of my books on Kindle or I listen to them on audiobook. I don't actually buy paper books these days. So this way I can kind of still get the feeling of having a bookshelf with all of those cute book colors on it without having a physical bookshelf in my house, which is great because there's nowhere to put a physical bookshelf in my house. Much like my grid spacing ruler at the beginning of my 2023 bullet journal, I completely stole this idea from Tracy Tyler Revel. She's a genius, she's just so good. This is the anticipated releases page, so books that I am looking forward to that are coming out in the next year. This is where I will write them down. And I am also looking forward to the next Emily Henry, which Tracy mentioned in her video as well. I think it's going to be called Happy Place. I am pumped. I can't wait. Emily Henry writes the best men. And I feel like this page especially has that burn book, scrapbook kind of look going on with the anticipated releases heading that area of the page. I just think it's it's making me happy. I wanted this to be a calendar setup so I know which month to look out for books, but I didn't want to draw out numbers for all of the calendars again, as I have done with my content planner and my future log in my other journal. So instead I'm just putting a space to put the first initial for each month, and I will just write the book and the date that it comes out in the space beside it, and that's how that's going to work. I don't always anticipate a great many books, but we'll have to see how this page gets used to see whether it makes it into the 2024 book. Now, I was out at brunch a couple of weeks ago with my friend Brooke, who is also a super avid reader, and she asked me what my favourite reads of the year were, and I was like, oh, I wish I had my journal with me so I could check my ratings. And then I thought, why don't I feature them on a page? And then as we go through the year, I can write them down or put them in a list or something, and then I will know, probably because I've focused on it, what my favourite reads of the year were. So that's what this spread is going to be. It's going to be all about my favourites. So the decoration this time is going down the left and the right side, and the functional part of the page will be in the middle. Okay, let's get to this functional part. So I'm going to have 12 boxes on the page in the end. 12 is probably generous, but I just wanted the page to look nice and balanced. I probably didn't need to have this many, but hopefully I will have 12 favorite books for the year. So I've worked out approximately what size the covers are that I've been printing off with my little HP sprocket, where I do 4 to a sheet and then I cut them down. And I've allowed a similar amount of space. So in these spaces that I'm drawing out now, these boxes, I will stick the cover of my 12 favorite books of the year. I guess they'll just go in the order that I read them. And I'm gonna add a little heading bit at the top. I find these PET stickers really difficult to stick down when they don't have anything in the middle to keep them rigid. Stamping my heading inside the frame this time instead of handwriting it, and I didn't quite balance out the word well enough. It was just going to say favorites, but there wasn't quite enough room for the S, so I changed it to 2023 favorite books so that it could be more centered because of who I am as a person, I guess. And I wanted to add a little bit more something, so I've added some rose petal stamps around, and I wanted to put a little, I guess a quote, but not a quote, a little bit of poetry at the bottom from my stickers to keep it all tied together. And I was trying to assemble one out of what was available, and then I found one that was perfect, which is, "My side is where you should be." How good is that for someone who likes to read romance? Also, these purple flower PET stickers are also from AliExpress. And if you're ever having trouble with corners that won't stick down like this, a little bit of sticky tape, just clear sellotape, does wonders. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to use this next spread, so I've kept it very minimal. This one is going to be a series tracker. Bookstagram has made it very clear that I'm missing out on a few very iconic series lately that I want to give a go in the new year. And I started a couple of series in 2022 that I'd like to make sure I'm still giving attention to as well, so I wanted to have some way to do that. I haven't found a way to do this yet that I think looks pretty. Maybe it will just have to be an ugly page in practice and look pretty only when unused, which happens more often than not. But either way, I'll learn from it for this particular setup, and next time I need to do it, I will just learn from it and do better. And of course, I need somewhere to organize the books that I might want to read next, which is what this section is. And I'm calling it Maybe Next, like I did previously, because I do not like the term TBR. I don't like to be read. It sounds like something I have to do, not like something that I want to do or that I get to do. So I just won't call it that, and it's fine. And if you want to call yours to be read, that is totally fine too. That's the whole point of this whole journaling thing, is that it's personal to you and you can do it in the way that works for you. TBR just doesn't work for me. This layout is very similar to the overall just book list that's at the beginning of this setup, but I'm going to divide each of these columns into a different genre, except the first two are both going to be romance, because that is definitely what I will end up reading most of. It's just what I like the best, what can I say? And I definitely like to read some more spooky stuff around Halloween, and I definitely like to read Christmas books around Christmas. So I'm doing an other column that's just for like a catch-all for everything that's not romance or seasonal, and a seasonal column for anything that applies to a particular time of year or holiday or whatever it is. And I love using this N89 Tombow to offset every second line so that it's easier for me to keep track of where I'm writing. I am very much a mood reader, so having my suggestions to myself categorized is going to be really helpful. And do you know what? It's possible I'll fill this spread up really quickly, but then I'll just set up another one for overflow and the system will improve with time. Just wanted to remind you, if you're enjoying the video, to give it a thumbs up, and if you aren't subscribed, I do make bullet journal and stationery content and I post a new video every week, so if you'd like to see more from me, I'd absolutely love to have you here in my little YouTube bullet journaling, talking about books sometimes family. And I am also on Instagram. If you'd like to hang out some more, you can find me at erinsmith.art on Instagram, and I have a stories highlight about books, so if you want to see what I'm reading most recently, you can do that, and then we can talk about it, especially if you've read it too, because that would be really fun, like a little Instagram unofficial book club. You might notice my washi tape didn't quite overlap where I did that little stick just there, so I'm going to use a Pigma Micron and colour in the gap so that you can't even tell. Tricks. It's all about the tricks. And then just one more stamped heading. This one says Maybe Next, and I'm very lucky that it fit perfectly into the amount of space that I had on this little bit of paper. I love it when that happens. And with that, my 2023 reading journal setup is complete. Here's a little flip through so you can see how it all looks together and in context. I hope you enjoyed setting this up with me, and I hope you also enjoyed the little peek into my previous reading journal spreads for 2022 and the way that I used them. Do you keep a reading journal? I would really like to know. And also, how much do you like to write about each book that you read? Do you like to get really in depth, or do you like to just have a little overview so you can remember the thing that you read? Let's talk reading journals. I want to hear from you. In the meantime, I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.